Monday, June 5th. I'm here by myself again, as you can expect most of the time, unless I find somebody stupid enough to do the podcast with me. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a good show. Got a lot to talk about. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Twitter, quite a bit about Twitter actually. Who's actually really in charge over there? I don't know if anybody that's watching knows that Twitter actually, well, I should say the Daily Wire posted Matt Walsh's documentary of What Is a Woman free on Twitter. I think it was Saturday or Friday night into Saturday. I watched it. Yeah, I've got some things to say. I'm not going to blow that yet, so I'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about Biden, his actual what kind of condition he's in currently. He fell again. It's like at this point, it's like, grandpa, poor grandpa. We got to hide him. Yeah, we'll talk about a couple other things. The ongoing thing with Target. We'll do some rationalization on that, and maybe. Oh, and there's a big thing actually. YouTube changed their guidelines on election results, past election results. So that's kind of cool because that one plays. That one actually hits home with me because our only community strike on our channel came in the form of that. I guess we had said something about the 2020 election, and YouTube didn't like it, so they pulled us. They pulled that down, and I still have it. It's glaring on the channel on my the YouTube studio page. The warning up the top, and I can't get rid of it, which is irritating as hell. But yeah, so yeah, that's we're gonna talk about all that. So uh, without further ado, let's get right into it. But if you are watching, if this is the second time or more that you've watched the podcast and you aren't a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. Also, comment and say something to me. Talk to me. I'm by myself. Okay. You know, if you saw someone by themselves and they were they needed some attention, you'd give it to them. So be a nice person. Give me some attention. Say something to me in the chat. I will respond unless you're way late on your thing or I miss it. Um, but yeah, try me anyway. All right, let's let's go right into it. Okay, so Linda Yaccarino, she's actually she's going to be the new Twitter boss, and she wasn't supposed to jump into the seat until I think it's like a few more weeks from now. But I guess Musk is stepping down earlier, and she's going to step in. But so Friday when they so Twitter had or sorry, the Daily Wire had put um, Matt Walsh's "What Is a Woman" on Twitter. There was some weird kind of pre-censorship going on, so it kind of makes you wonder who actually is in charge over there. Um, and if I mean if this Linda Yaccarino is a little more left leaning than say Elon Musk is she gonna go back to sort of the way Twitter was? Is that kind of the idea of what where they're gonna go? Like it, this kind of feels weird to me. It feels like Elon Musk is playing like he's wearing two hats. Like he tweets and he says stuff that he believes. He says funny stuff or provocative things. He posts memes, all that kind of stuff. So he's kind of like the almost like the unhinged CEO, the guy who will say anything and do anything, that kind of thing. But it's like he's now putting people in place that are gonna, you know, give it a little bit of, you know, credibility or a little bit of stability with the advertisers. So, um, this woman here, she's got a bit of a troubling past as far as it goes for, um, you know, I would say unbiased free speech, if you will. She was with NBC, so right there, that kind of tells you that the company's a nightmare. Um, so I just think at this point it could be one of these things where the advertisers were getting spooked, and the bottom line was really getting affected, and so now Elon Musk is stepping back. He's going to continue to have that sort of funny role. where he will say what he wants to say. He'll post memes. He'll be provocative and all that. But he's letting everyone know, look, maybe I'm not really running it, so don't worry about it. I'm just going to be kind of that weird guy that's saying all those things, but the company itself is being run by these, you know, these more balanced people. If you, I don't know. That's not my opinion, because I don't think this Linda Yacarino, is very necessarily very balanced, but she probably has more of a what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? She's got more of an edge that they would like, that the uh, traditional advertisers on Twitter would probably like. So this could be a return to normalcy as far as Twitter goes. But I don't know. We'll have to see how this one goes. I just don't think Elon's in charge there anymore. That's just my feel on it. Um, Now, let's talk about. Here we go. Let's find the next thing we're going to talk about, which rolls right into this. I just kind of alluded to that a second ago. This what is a woman documentary that they put on, that the Daily Wire put on Twitter for free. Um, it went nuts. I mean, lots of retweets. Like, I think it got viewed. Let me see if it says here. Something like here. What does it say? Document 110 million views and retweeted 120,000 times. That's crazy. I don't know if anybody watched it that's watching. I'm sure a couple of you have at least, or maybe you've seen it already. But this is the first time I've seen it, and I'll tell you, it was really, really good. It was, I mean, an on an unbiased sort of approach to it, because I do like documentaries on all sides as long as they're put together well. I think oops, I think uh, if the documentary itself is done in the most sort of uh, unbiased way that it can be done, even though there's a biased approach, it can be very watchable. Like even stuff that I've watched on Vice and things like, and uh, I don't want to, if you want to call that a network, but sure, whatever. Networks like that have been actually pretty good, because it's been composed pretty well, and you've got to kind of take the information from what side it's coming from. In this case, Matt Walsh does a good job of essentially just asking a question, and that's where when you're watching this documentary, that's where it gets very frustrating, because it's a very simple question, and it's whenever you ask somebody a question on something and they think that your ulterior motive is something, so they feel like you're trying to pigeonhole them into a specific answer, they get their hackles up. Which I always find it kind of an irritating uh, approach, especially when you're trying to have a conversation with somebody. I ask you a question, even if the question seems leading to what you think I'm kind of leading you to an answer. If you have a position of knowledge based on whatever, like in this case, um, people he was talking to like were quote unquote doctors and things like that. Um, so if you have knowledge, then you should be able to answer a question um, with knowledge, just based on. And now, if the question's not framed correctly, then ask for clarification on the question. But a question like "What is a woman?" is a pretty simple question. If I said "What is a cloud?" to you, you wouldn't just go, "Well, I don't know. A cloud is whatever the sky wants a cloud to be. I'm not the sky. I don't know what a cloud is." You would say a cloud is you know a grouping of gas and water molecules in the atmosphere, and like you would just give a definition to it. Um, Whether your definition was completely concise or not, you would have one. But so anyway, so to get back to this the documentary, it was really well done. But the problem was with Twitter right off the bat when they went to put it on Twitter. Twitter was labeling it as hate speech. So this goes back to my original point of who's actually really in control at Twitter, and if Twitter's going to go back to what it was prior to Elon. because the money isn't being made on the advertising revenue anymore. So, I want to believe that the money doesn't matter and it's more about the bastion of free speech. But let's be real. If a company's big enough, and there's enough money involved, and there's enough people involved with money in it, you know, that's really going to be the driving force ahead of you know the free speech end of it. Although I think it's become an important thing at Twitter. We'll just see how we'll see how this pans out now with this new woman in charge and Elon stepping back a little. Um, maybe he becomes the heel. He's almost like the Trump of Twitter, which would be funny as well. All right. Okay. Let's just keep blasting on. Nobody wants to talk to me, so we'll just keep blasting on to the next. Uh, this is funny because this is funny as well. I'm just gonna keep staying on this topic, I guess, of Elon Musk, because they're all gonna roll into each other. So he weighed in on the Target boycott. Uh, this Target boycott's been going on now for, I don't know, I guess what, 2.5 weeks or something like that, or 3 weeks. All over the Pride. Uh, they, I guess they were putting up, what do you call it? Whatever you want to call it, store decorations for Pride and like sections and stuff like that. Apparently, this is something they do every year, which isn't I don't think is the big deal. This year, the difference I think now versus years prior is the target, pun intended, on kids. You know, they had kids sections and like children's children's um, bathing suits with like places to uh, tuck the privates in and stuff. Like this is some weird stuff. If you want to do that with adults, you want to have adult clothing like that, that's fine. Um, but this wouldn't have been something that you'd normally be able to find at a department store. This would be something that you normally like specialty you have to look for. Be like for example, Target has now like a BDSM section or or sex section with all kinds of toys and things like that out in the open and celebrated. That'd be very weird as well. So same sort of thing. I think this just gives people an ick feeling. So they're really not going for it. Um, but Musk talks about this. He talks about as far as the company itself and the boycott that he says that Target should actually be worried as a company that they may be looking at a class action lawsuit as far as just from shareholders, from people that are actually are holding shares, um, because they're devaluing the company quite a bit. Chrissy Robinson, pink clothes with fairies in the boys section. Yeah, cute face. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Not that there's anything wrong with pink clothes for boys. That's fine. But pink tuckable bikinis or bathing suits, one piece bathing suits for boys. A little weird. I mean, maybe I'll don one for you. But yeah, very strange. This kind of stuff is what gets people's hackles up. You start messing with our kids, you're gonna bite off a little more than you thought you could chew. So, but I kind of agree with Musk on this one. I think that and the fact that okay, let's be real. Musk said it, so we know when Musk says something, it typically comes true because he's got a very big influence on people. Just like he said with the GameStop, when he tweeted "Game Stonk" or whatever he does, that weird thing he does where he, instead of saying a stock, he says "stonk." This is like his little way of getting around actually, like whatever the rules and regulations behind it. But in this case, now saying it, just him saying it could make it true, could make people actually do this. So it's that funny way it seems like he tries to influence without actually saying. He's like, well, maybe they'll do this. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So Yeah, I could definitely see this happening. And if this happens, this will just be another a further shot into this cultural war against this woke ideology moving um, into business where it just doesn't belong. Uh, oh yeah, so people are videotaping themselves cutting up their Target credit cards on Instagram. Yeah, this is funny because it's funny when these kinds of things happen. Um, they start to make these little um, cultural hotspots, if you will. People will jump on it, these little trends and stuff. Now, I mean, the trends were so bad before. Now, a trend like this could be pretty fun, and it could push the narrative over the other way, which is nice. So, but yeah, I really think I think this might be the start of a good shift. Which is funny because man, I'm on it today. I've got all my topics to talk about all kind of lined up, and my my next topic I'm going to talk about actually is oops. Actually, no, I won't. I don't have a thing for it, so I'll just stay here. But it's the cultural shift. Are we actually? Are we actually? Are we in a cultural shift at this point? Have we started to see the pendulum move the other way? Because it was as far as for the last, I don't even know, since Obama at least. So we're talking what, 8, 10 years. We've seen this push, this sort of woke push, which started fine, like everything does, right? It starts fine. It starts in a good place, like acceptance, tolerance, all that kind of stuff. And we're all like, yeah, no, hey, we're into that. Just like the gay and lesbian movement and all that started in the 80s. And I'm sure at first there was all kinds of pushback and stuff. I'm a little too young to have really recognized that as a movement 'cause, I was alive but not really very old at that time. But now to see what we're dealing with now is this cultural um, push towards transgender rights, and then the nonsense that's jumped on board with it. All these other things that are going on. People are calling themselves pansexual and all these different things that you're just making up. Now you're just making up stuff as we go here. I can say whatever I want and add sexual to the end of it, and then just give you a garbage meaning of what that means, and I guess you have to accept it. But now we might be seeing this cultural push now back to common sense, where people are, um, we realize now that we have moved well into um, acceptance and tolerance of uh, different people and different um, you know what whatever you want to call it, different ways that we want to project ourselves out to others, and we accept it for the most part, obviously, um, because if somebody wants to be known as whatever, I have no problem with that, and I think most people don't. But I think where they overstepped is again with the kids. I think now that we see these drag shows for kids, and we're seeing a Target, a major company, putting out these displays that are clearly being pushed at kids. Then we see people like Phil Mulvaney with on TikTok talking to kids and doing the nonsense that they're doing on there. We get people that have just said enough's enough. Like we've had enough. So now that we're starting to see this cultural shift go the other way, I think people are going to really start to get on it, and this fire is really going to start to cook. And I think Bud Light and Target are the two. They're the first in, and people are going to really see that it's working. These boycotts are actually working, which is sad. Again, I mean, for me, I actually like Bud Light Lime. I like it. It's a good beer. Um, so if let's say, for example, Anheuser-Busch gets boycotted into and like so Bud Light doesn't exist anymore, oh, I get hurt because I like that beer. Not Bud Light, Bud Light Lime. There's a difference. Um, so, but if that's what's needed to push us away from this uh, divisive and garbage progressive culture that we're in right now, so be it. I mean, I guess I'll have to find another beer to drink. Hopefully, maybe Anheuser-Busch will come out with something else that tastes exactly the same. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, okay. So I I kind of alluded to it already. I was going to talk about this. Um, all right, I almost talked about it in this last segment here, but um, Dylan Mulvaney, the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing. So now it's come out as a lesbian. So hey, this is one of those things where I think when you start to, it's like, here's the shocking thing here, and then people go, oh, we're, yeah, that's okay, that's normal now. We're used to that. That's par for the course with this person. They're like, oh shit, tension's starting to go away. People aren't really paying attention to me anymore. What can I say now? What can I say now? I'm a lesbian now. I'm a lesbian. That's not how it works. You can't just now be a lesbian. I'm pretty sure. Now, I don't want to misgender this person, so I got to be careful what I say. Listen, I got a strike against me now. I can't say too much. What I will say is that if, for example, and I'm not being specific to Dylan Mulvaney here, if, for example, you are a man, okay, and let's just use me, for example. I'm a man most days, and I decide that I'm going to go start a YouTube channel. And on that channel, I'm going to transition into a bear. Okay. I'm going to become a bear. I'm going to put fur on and I'm going to look like a bear and I'm going to do all the things a bear does. I'm going to do all that. And I'm going to get a bunch of people that are going to watch it like, oh, this is cool. And I'm going to go running around and be like, oh, I'm a bear. I'm a bear. And then people are going to try and shoot, and I'm going to have fun with the whole thing. Right. People are going to watch. I'm going to get all these people that are, offering me, you know, I don't know, bear spray, um, like pheromone spray, contracts and stuff. I'm gonna get, I don't know, I'm gonna get like Yogi the bear, what do you call it? Whatever. I'm gonna get deals and stuff like that. They're gonna offer me money to do advertisements for stuff like that. I'm gonna get all that going, and I'm gonna be all like, yeah, cool. But then people are gonna be like, so that's Alex the bear. So what? It's nothing. So then I'm going to decide to come out as now a bear who, and at first when I was the bear, I liked bears. Okay. I was into bears, and so I was bear sexual or whatever. Then I decide I'm going to start to like humans. So I'm going to cross species into now I don't know, I'm a bears bean. Bears bean? Whatever. Bear gay, whatever. So I'm now gonna go for humans. That doesn't mean that I'm a bear that likes humans. It means I'm a delusional human who now has decided that they actually like humans again, because they probably started out that way. If you're following my very convoluted drift over here, without being very specific to our friend here, to our Bud Light mascot, Dylan Mulvaney. Um, so yeah, so Dylan Mulvaney is not lesbian. That's what I'm trying to say here, essentially, because you can't be lesbian. I don't know. No, no less than I can be lesbian. And if I could be lesbian, I would be lesbian. In fact, I'd be incredibly lesbian. And yes, I will be fuzzy wuzzy. If I were the bear, I'd be fuzzy wuzzy. That's exactly who I'd be. We live in nonsense town. So Dylan Mulvaney is just gonna keep saying new things, I guess. I don't know. Just to keep staying relevant. That's what it seems like is gonna happen. I wouldn't be surprised if it just makes a full circle right back to square one. Eh. And then we'll keep talking about this dummy. Ah, all right. Anyways, okay. So let's get off what it seems like this podcast has been about, mostly about these cultural trends with you know, Bill Mulvaney, that kind of stuff. And we'll get on to the politics end of things. Um, so hold on. Why is this not working? All right. Bear with me. Technical difficulties here. Here we go. Okay. So our well, not our commander in chief. I'm from Canada, but we'll say our North American commander in chief, uh, President Biden, had another stumble ski. Yeah, that's a lot. His feet aren't working very well. I don't know what's going on. His balance is a little off. And I'm not an ageist here, so I'm not going to say this is related to his age, but this is probably related to his age. The guy's 80. Okay. Um, and yeah, and they want him to run for another 4 years. So he basically at the end of that term he'd be 85. Yeah, that seems normal. That's what we should do. Let's just keep getting them older. Eventually we'll have like a 110-year-old president. Like every time they talk, we'll be like, "Whoa, holy, they're talking." Oh. Yeah, I think he might be. I don't know. I hate to say it. Well, actually, I don't. I'm not a Biden fan at all, so I don't care. Yeah, I think he's done. I think the cognitive ability is kind of is gone. I think the motor functions are kind of gone. I think it's time to put this guy out the pasture. Um, but let's just let him get through his term here because God, there's worse waiting in the you know, in the next seat. So let's just leave well enough alone. But yeah, I don't think he's well. So I'm going to read this. This is a New York Times article. I'm going to oh here actually here I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you the video. Let me replay this here. Um, can I do this in full screen here? Here we go. Okay. Oops. And I feel sorry for look. He had to take a second seat. That's a hard get up. That's a hard. And then he points out that it was that. It was that over there that got me. That's the thing. It was that bad. I don't know, whatever the heck it was. I think they said it was a sandbag or something like that. It was the bad sandbag that got me. I love how you point. No, right there, right there. See it? It didn't move. It's there. But when he tried to get up too, it it wasn't like a clean get up. It was, you know. And again, I'm not going to pick on him. He's 80. He's an 80-year-old man. It's not going to be like he's going to spring back up. But for them to just just brush this off and say, "No, no, no, it's fine." So I'll read the New York Times article because it's kind of funny. So President Biden tripped and fell after delivering a speech and handing out diplomas to graduates of the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Blah blah blah. Uh, uh, who is 80 years old, was helped up and appeared to recover quickly. I love that they spin it that way. I want to just say, no, he had a hard time getting up. They helped him up and he moved on. Whatever, right? Um, so Mr. Biden's fall was captured on video and spread on social media. He appears to trip, fall to his knees, and catch himself with his hands on the floor of the stage. I love how I say that. I don't know. I didn't really see him catch himself necessarily. He just fell like what did he? He didn't move his arms out of the way. No, no. His arms got in the way slightly, and he fell like a normal person would fall. I love how they spin it this way, right? He was helped up by several Air Force officials and Secret Service agents, and he walked back to his seat. Mr. Biden had just delivered an energetic speech to the Air Force graduates before helping to hand out the diplomas. He fell after he distributed the final diploma and was headed back to his seat. He's fine, the White House communications director said in a tweet Thursday afternoon. There was a sandbag on the stage while he was shaking hands. That's damn sandbags. They'll get in the way. So why don't I just say, this is how I would explain it. I saw it. I would say, okay, he tripped. That's normal. That happens. He had a slightly hard time getting up. They had to help him up. But he's an 80-year-old man. So that's not if I saw any 80-year-old man fall, I would never expect him to spring up. But it's this whole point of that it's almost as if they're trying to the misnomer of that he's not in bad shape in any way or any of that kind of stuff. He's 80. So he's gonna be a bit, you know, clumsy, feeble, that kind of thing, as you naturally age. But I think the point is, should we have a president who's 80 years old, or should we be looking more for 50 to 65, very spry and energetic still, and fully you know got the full cognitive gears going? That's just personally what I think. And in this case, I don't think Biden does. But it's you know this doesn't look very good, these kinds of things happening for his reelection purposes. So they're going to spin it in every which way they can to be like, oh no, no big deal, nothing to see here. But I think there's something to see here, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, okay. So that's all I've got as far as topics. So the last thing I'm going to actually talk about is a pretty cool thing that's sort of related to what I just said. Um, YouTube's actually changed their guidelines on the election, on election results and such. So this happened to us. I alluded to at the start of the show that we had a video where we talked about. I don't know exactly what was said, but we said something about the 2020 election being, as anybody who has two eyes, two ears, and half a brain knows, it was a bit weird. There were some weird inconsistencies. There were some weird things that went on. I'm not saying that it was a fraudulent election necessarily, but it did have a record amount of votes for uh, a subpar candidate, and the argument is that people just wanted Biden over Trump. Fine, but uh, so Biden got 10 million more votes than Obama. Okay, seems a little weird to me, and it just seems like something where you'd be like, you'd want to just double check, like like I don't know, if somebody handed me a wad of cash like this and they went, "There's $1 million there," I'm like, I want to trust you, but can we just count it? Maybe can we just check anyway? Like, I'm not calling you a liar, but it just seems weird. It just seems a little light. This seems a little bit of a small stack. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, so they actually, so YouTube's decided they're going to actually stop censoring um, political, whatever you want to call it, political questioning of, you know, of elections, past elections and such, which I don't think they ever should have questioned really, or ever should have censored. I mean, you can question it just because and especially the way we did it, and the fact that that we had our video pulled and got a community strike over it. I didn't personally say that I think that that the election is 100% was a fraud or anything like that, or was stolen or any of that kind of stuff. But I do think there are some inconsistencies. I think there's things that they should explore and things that they should change and such. They should protect our elections as best as they can. I don't think ballot harvesting should happen because I think that begs for people to just be bullied at the door. And I think you're allowing too much ability for people to change other people's, like, for example, maybe you go to a door and you're ballot harvesting, you know, let's say, for example, an 80-year-old man, and he hasn't marked it out. And you say, no, it's just, okay, who do you want to vote for? Such, okay, I'll fill it out for you. And you fill out the candidate you want. That's election fraud. And I'm sure it happens. And I'm sure there are a number of other ways that it happens. And if it happens enough en masse, that could equate to millions of votes, over a large scope. So it's just, these are the kinds of things that I think we should just be careful of. But as far as what YouTube's doing to change their guidelines back to allowing more free speech, um, you know, dissenting ideas and things like that from the narrative, that's great. I applaud YouTube. Um, it it's moving. That's a good move towards more of an open dialogue and a bastion for free speech. And I hope it's an earnest move. I hope it's not one because they're saying, oh, well, maybe there's some of these other, maybe someone like Rumble or is starting to steal some of YouTube's viewership or audience. I hope it's just sort of I'm saying, no, you know what, we need to we need to be inclusive to everybody and different opinions and such, and people from both sides of the yeah. But we'll see. I mean, but again, a great move on YouTube, and it's nice to see, especially since I would get in trouble with some of that stuff. Obviously, you can hear that I will watch what I say because I don't want to get any strikes on my on the channel at this point. So, but yeah, okay. That's about all I've got this week. Anyway, we're at about 35 minutes anyway now, and since there's only one of me, there's not two of us now. Figure half the time is fair. You can only take me half the time if you got to hear me the whole time. Um, so yeah, thanks for watching. Check out well, check out my video clips over the week because I have a segment for each thing I talked about, and I'll release them through the week. Uh, Check them out, like them, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Um, Catch the podcast on Mondays at 7 o'clock. Talk to me. I will be bringing on guests, but the summer's a little weird. It's hard to get people to commit to things, and I'm just trying to kind of find my bearings right now with running the podcast by myself without Tyler here. So, but yeah, but again, thanks for watching. Check check us out on Mondays, 7 o'clock, and subscribe. We'll see you next week.